which was right downtown.
Sure.
It's no longer located there, but it was right downtown on Kellogg Boulevard. You know, an 8-story building, which is an unusual location for an elementary school. But spent a lot of years working in very high needs school with many languages spoken by our students and families, and a very high poverty concentration, quite honestly. The school where I was principal at had a concentration of about 97% poverty at the time. I would say there's a lot of similarities between our school districts. District 622 is becoming a more urban school district.
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard about the changing demographics.
Yes.
In the last 10 years, our school district has literally doubled in the amount of students receiving free and reduced price lunch. We've doubled the numbers of students of color, students learning English as a second language. We're becoming very urban, and so I feel like one of my strengths coming to District 622 is I'm already very familiar with urban issues in education. I'm very comfortable in that world. I would say probably the biggest difference as I come into 622 is simply the size. There's such a tight-knit community in a district of our size, 622. And granted, we are the 11th largest school district in the state of Minnesota. But for me, it feels small because I'm coming from a larger system.
What was the comparison of St. Paul and 622?
St. Paul has about 38,000 students, between 38 and 39,000 students, and about 66 schools. Coming to 622, I've got about 10,500 students here, and we've got 14 traditional schools, plus some additional programs in addition to that. But that feels so much smaller to me. What I noticed coming into our school district is, you know, we have a core group of school principals, and they are all really good friends here with each other. They have, there's a sense of family. They go to lunch together, they connect with each other, they're continually talking to each other on the phone. It's a very tight-knit group, something I think we should be really proud of.
Sure.
They love to share and learn, and that happens in St. Paul schools as well. There's just so many more of them.
With St. Paul being a little bit more on the poverty side, isn't it? How's that compared to Oakdale or the 622 area?
Definitely the concentrations of poverty that happen in St. Paul are quite different than here. We've got increasing numbers of poverty. We now have over 50% of our students that are receiving free and reduced in 622.
Wow.
Yeah, and we now also have over 50% of our students of color, which means that's a huge change in the last 10 years in our district. I think that one of the greatest challenges in school districts like St. Paul and Minneapolis is when you have high concentrations of poverty. That is a challenge for school districts to manage, and we've got here in District 622 we really still have a strong economic blend. We've got the economic diversity of the affluence and the poverty together, and I believe is really a strength of ours and something I want to work to continue to try to maintain. Our economic diversity helps all of our students succeed.
Good.
And we have a much smaller achievement gap in our school district in 622 because of that. I believe strongly it's because we have a lot of economic diversity in our school system.
Okay, so as the superintendent of schools in 622, what are your duties? You don't have to go completely, but I know you got a lot on your plate.
Sure.
Tell us basically what are you here for?
You know, first and foremost, our goal is, my goal in my work is to raise student achievement, to narrow the achievement gap, and to support our students and families. That's the #1 goal. As a superintendent, we wear many hats. In fact, if you were to look at my calendar, you probably would be amazed at how many different kinds of conversations. Everything from, you know, the busing and transportation needs and the purchasing of a new school bus to the teaching and learning and academic areas.
So that goes all the way up to you?
Yes.
Making decisions like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
And human resources and the kinds of conversations that we have in terms of recruiting and retaining staff.
Just for curiosity's sake, how many meetings a day do you attend?
Oh, it depends on the day. It could be 10. You know, there are days where I'll start at, you know, 7 a.m. And go until 10 p.m. with different.
Wow.
But what's really fun about my job is that I really do get to have conversations that are so varied. I spent a morning last week with a few legislators out at Polar Arena looking at the ice facility and some of the new requirements coming into changing out the refrigerant that cools the ice sheets.
Sure.
And you know, that's a really interesting conversation to be in. And we're in the mechanical room looking at the equipment, all the way through how to do a reading intervention in a first grade classroom, and working with teachers on how do you really build those